Blessing, aka the inspiration. I just got done reading a chapter about. Um, it's about. I have this book right here. It's called Driven by Eternity. It's a good read, but I'm just starting. I actually started on it like weeks ago. And I just read about confidence at judgment, right? So basically, we're all going to go, when we die, we all are going to stand in front of God, the highest judge of all. And it talks about how we, I get mostly scared when I die. I'm supposed to be scared because I'm like in fear of God because I don't know how I'm going to be in confidence. But it tells me in the book we don't have to go to the judgment day in fear. We can go with confidence. And the scripture says that right here. It says, as we live in God, our love grows more perfect. So we will not be afraid of the day of judgment. But we can face him with confidence because we are like Christ here in the world. And some of this stuff I was reading, uh, it told me that it told me some stuff that why commandments and a bunch of other things that I was reading. And the one that stood out to me that had blown my mind, um, it was about a guy who went to Singapore. And basically, this guy in Singapore, I guess they have a certain amount of drugs. You're not allowed to have drugs in Singapore. This guy wrote it and said it was a bad thing to do. But it says here that he went into Netherlands. In Netherlands, it's not against the law to have marijuana to your possession, although that's illegal here too sometimes. The people that there can smoke it legally and not fear penalty. However, in Singapore, if you're caught with a certain amount of drugs, even if it's this small, you will be arrested and severely punished. And it does say that you are sentenced to death. Well, I was reading that, and there was a story about this Dutchman in the book of the story. He was telling that the Dutchman went to Singapore, had a bunch of drugs on him, and shared it with some people and asked him, "Can I share this with you?" And it's good and it will ease your mind. The next day that he got arrested, and he was like shocked about it, and he said, "Why am I arrested?" And it turns out the he Judgment Day arrives on that day, and he says he stands in front of the court, and he thinks it's just a hoppycock, and that's not true. So he stands before him. They pronounce him guilty and give him a punishment, and he kind of didn't learn the consequences of what would happen if you had drugs. He said, "Your Honor, where I come from, it's fine where you share marijuana with your friends." And he says, "This is not Holland. You're in Singapore, and the nation does not condone marijuana, and it's against the law." And the guy's confidence went way down, like super down, and because he had no defense to actually give him to stand on or approve on, and they arrested him, pleaded him guilty, and he was beaten with the rotan, which basically is beating you with a bamboo stick with chemicals in it on your right side, and it hurts, I guess. But think about this: when you die, like we are supposed to keep Jesus' commandments. And if we know Jesus, we should keep his commandments. Sometimes we don't, and we sometimes forget and sometimes don't really do it because it's a natural thing and we say we're human. You know what? I don't want to go to heaven and make the excuse to say, because if he asked me, "Why did you not keep my commandments?" And I would say, and if I came out and say, "Oh, Your Honor, I am human," you think he would judge that? It's based on your behavior and how you act in this world. But lately I've been thinking about it because now I'm getting to the point where, man, I'm afraid of shit now. I'm afraid of doing it. I'm gonna tell you all the truth. I have a problem with slandering and all that shit or stuff. And I'm bad about it now. Like, I'm super bad about it. But I make sure I go to God and say, look, God, I need you to fix this about me because this is not who I am. And anyways, more of the point of the story is that when you die, you will be in judgment day. That goes for evil people too. Good and evil. We all will be judged based on our leaves of character or our leaves of lifestyle we lived. Whether we lived in faith or we lived in fear or we lived in condemnation. And I don't want to be that person that lived in condemnation. Even if I lived in faith and I still go to hell, sent to hell for one possible mistake or one possible reason that I failed, then it was worth it. And I'm just gonna be blunt. It's worth it because I know the consequence. But it's something to think about. We don't have to go in fear of God and say, "Oh man, I really messed it up now. I fudged it up now." No, go to confident. If you know God truly inside and out, you will die. You will go before Him. Go in confidence, knowing that you did the best you could living. He'll probably ask you some questions. Even if you know you did good, and He looked at you and say, "I got one question for you. Why didn't you do this?" And you have the right answer. Basically, there's no right. I don't think there's a right answer and a wrong answer. All He's looking for is your heart and what it perceives to be. It's a matter of statement how you perceive in your life. It's a matter of statement in your faith, how you live, based on how you behaved in that way, and based on the commandments you keep. That's what Jesus was saying in the Bible. If you know me, you'll know me inside and out, and you say you do, but you don't keep my commandments, you are a liar, and I don't know you. I don't want to go to heaven and have Jesus look at me and say, "I don't know you. Depart from me." I would be devastated. My heart would drop, and I would have no hope, and I would be burning. And you know what? For me, knowing me, I would deserve to burn. I would say, "Jesus, you're right. I would part from you." And I deserve it. I basically deserve to burn in hell. And I'm true. I'm being real about that because to be honest, I'm not really nice. I'm a good kid, but I'm not really a good guy. I'm a sinner. I'm a mean person, but by the grace of God and the mercy, He found it fit for me to keep going. Stressing you, that's where the confidence comes from. Even in your judgment day, live in confidence of faith. You know what I'm saying? That's basically what He's saying. If you go in judgment day, if you're fine on your judgment day and you know you're going to be okay, you're going to be okay. Because there's nothing in this world can pluck you out of your hands except for yourself, well, not even you, because you can't do that. Unless God says, "Part from me, I never knew you." But that's something to think about. Imagine yourself, and even imagine this real quick. Imagine yourself in front of God, and you didn't live up to the expectations like He said you would. Even though He doesn't expect you to live them perfectly, because you're going to mess up. And that's why we go in prayer and forgive and ask forgiveness and then make us better. That's the thing right there that we got to not continuitize, but we got to not separate, but that's what we got to separate from our mind. And we got to know in our mind and our hearts and our soul that we could live in that confidence in Judgment Day, knowing that we did the best we could, even if it wasn't our best, but we did our best. That's all God sees, the best in our heart. And you know what? I made the decision of this new year to do what's best in my heart. Stop doing the things that hinder your eternity. Start walking in things that prospers and destines your eternity. You know what I'm saying? So I just read that and I figured that you needed to know that, and Judgment Day is coming for all of us. whether we like it or not. Eternity is forever. What will you do with your eternity as you strive on to where you need to go? I'm blessing that gain inspiration. Sorry, I don't have any live videos anymore. I'm just put this on YouTube and share it with all my friends. You may not get it, but I'm just warning y'all. Just a fair warning for y'all. I love you guys. Have a nice night. Stay safe. Have a blessed night. Thank God.